welcome back to another episode of Caffeinated CX, where we talk about CX and stuff, all in a hyper-caffeinated state. I'm David, your gracious host, and let's just get started. Let's talk about hiring, right? So, number one tip in hiring, doesn't matter if you're short-staffed, you can't rush the process. The bad things happen when you rush the process. If you look back at one of my previous episodes, the one I sat down with Jess Jurgen from the Misery Machine, you can see what happens when you rush the process too much in hiring people for your contact center or whatever it is you're hiring for, right? So don't rush the process. I don't care if you need 30 seats filled by 2 weeks from now. You can't rush it. Right? You can't just hire anybody with a pulse. That's how bad things happen. That's how cultures can unravel. It's how centers can implode. And you get a couple bad people that are not culture fits and don't give a crap about the customer or anything like that. And bad things happen. Right? So, number one, don't rush it. Number two, hire for customer service, don't hire for experience or skills, right? Because skills can be taught. That's what your training is for, right? So, and if you don't have a training thing set up, that's weird, but get one set up, right? Either train them yourself or get a trainer or promote one of your CSRs that one is good, two, and two knows what they're doing, and three can teach that, right? And you want to have a combination of classroom training as well as on the floor shadowing and everything like that. So all in one. I'm pretty sure most of you have that already. But I've worked at some that didn't. That their method of training is, hey, go sit next to that person for, let's say a couple hours. You'll be good to go after that. That doesn't usually work out. I mean, it can, but much bigger ramp up time, and that person's not going to be good to go. And yeah, so you want to hire for attitude. You want to hire for emotional intelligence. You want to hire for adversity intelligence. So the EQ and the AQ. Done an episode on that before as well. You want to get people who are creative, who collaborate, who are team players, that can also work by themselves. And it's all in how you interview them. First of all, you want your interviews to be as comfortable for the person as possible. A lot of people get nervous in interviews. Doesn't matter what the position is. If it's entry level, if it's a management level, people get nervous. You want to make them comfortable so you know how they actually are. If someone's incredibly nervous in an interview, that's not how they actually are. That's not how they will be in 2 weeks on the floor, right? Or 2 weeks in their position. So you have to kind of put them at ease, right? And the best way of doing that is, instead of rattling off a bunch of generic, dumb interview questions, is just to have a conversation. You want to have the interview should be a conversation, right? You want to know what makes them tick. You want to get to know them a little bit, right? You want to know how they feel about customer service. A lot of people don't like doing customer service because customers, let's face it, a lot of the time are jerks, or they can be jerks. So you want to know how they can handle those jerks on the phone. And even with a lot of training, some people just can't, right? I was at a place a long time ago where the classroom training itself was 3 weeks, and then nesting, or when you first get on the phones and you're in your little collective training group, is another 2 weeks. And this person's first call was this dude just screaming at her, and she broke down and cried. And she took 2 calls after that and then just left. Couldn't handle it. So, and some people are like that. Some people can't handle the yelling. Now, that might have been, there's a lot of variables to that, but one of the issues for that might have been the hiring process, the interview. Couldn't weed that out, right? So some of the questions I like to ask in an interview is, what's the best experience that you've ever had as a customer? And then depending on how they answer that, I'll go on to the follow-up. What's the worst experience you've ever had as a customer? And then go from there. Maybe ask for a little elaboration on that. Because, well, you want to know what they feel is good customer service, and you want to know what they feel is bad customer service. Easy as that, right? Now, if their definition of bad customer service was, I had to wait on hold for 5 minutes before I reached a customer or a customer service rep, well, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't have to wait 5 minutes, but okay, that's the worst. You've lived a cherished, easy life, and that's okay. But if their definition of the best customer service was someone said hi to me, right? Okay, so what about that made it the best? Out of all the experiences you've had as a customer, what made that the best? So, and then you can get a little bit of their perspective from that answer. So, but there's other questions too, like, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Please don't ask that. That was a joke. Don't ask that. Those are dumb. You want to know what their goals are, right? What they're working on right now, what their biggest accomplishment in their life was, what they're looking for in a company to work for, and then make sure they ask questions. Make sure they ask questions about the business, about the position, right? And then after the interview's over, go give them a tour of the floor of where they'll be working, just so they can see it in action. And then, judging on their reaction to it, go ahead and make your decision from there. So I'm not saying sit them down and let them look at your software or anything, but just have them walk the floor for a minute with you so they can see what they're getting into, because not all call centers are the same. And if they've worked in another call center, it might be completely different vibe than the one that they're getting into right now. So, but you don't want to rush it. You want to make sure they're comfortable in the interview. You want to ask questions that will determine what their EQ and their AQ is. And then you want to bring them out on a floor tour. So those things will get you good agents, right? It's just in how they answer the questions and how comfortable they are, right? Now, experience, like I said before, doesn't matter. Right? You can teach the skills. You can teach the systems. Those are easy to teach unless you have like 6 different systems, one on DOS, one on Windows, and then the other one you have to pull out a MacBook because it's only Mac OS, which I don't think that scenario would ever happen, but who knows, right? So as long as they know what an email is and they know what the internet is, you can teach the rest. So you want to hire for attitude. You want to hire for effort. You want to hire because they have a zest, a zeal for customer service. They care. And then once they're in, make sure they're trained well. And that's both in systems, policies, and customer experience, customer service. So, because why not? And that's the best way to do it. Don't just sit them with someone and hope for the best. Train them either by yourself or promote someone from within to be that trainer, and make sure there's both classroom and floor training involved before they even talk to a customer. Make sure they're well versed in everything. So because there ain't no other way to do it, right? And then once they're out of training, once they're on the floor, don't ignore them. Don't pretend they don't exist anymore. No. Spend time with them. See how everything's going, especially for the first 90 days. Check in with them. If not every day, then at least twice a week. And then move over to your weekly coachings. That if you do it, or if you have team leads that do it, fine. But weekly coachings after they've been trained, after they've been on the floor for a bit. So then go from there. And these coachings, well, I'll save that for another episode. But that's it. Hire smart, hire right, and hire the right people. Right? Don't rush it. Bad things happen when you rush hiring. All right. This has been Caffeinated CX. Bye.